lounge.
We've heard rumors that there was possible buyout of personnel conduct. Was that ever considered? And did money factor in the change of
Yeah, that's a great word you used, rumors, because there was a ton of them on that and many, many other issues, and that's just what they were. I will say this, that there is not one topic that has to do with SIU athletics that finances aren't virtually at the top of the consideration list in everything that goes on. Certainly with the way of the financial shape the athletic program is in, the university and the state of Illinois. So, as far as discussions on finances, there's not one thing that Mark Scally, our CFO, isn't brought in on, because every single thing is affected. But I'd answer by saying you used a terrific word, and that was rumors.
Mario, if the season next year doesn't get better than the last 3 seasons, how much pressure will you feel to make a change?
Well, obviously we're certainly aware that our fans were frustrated, upset. So that's something that you can't escape from. My email inbox, telephone, letters, things like that. At the same time, I don't think, as an ex-athlete, I don't think it's ever healthy to say, man, if you have to do this or else. That's no way to. I think putting some pressure on yourself can be a good thing, but putting a specific metric down from an athletic standpoint, especially when you've got a lot of brand new freshmen coming in that we're very high on, but they're just that, freshmen. You're going to have some new players. I just don't think that's healthy for the program to set out, you've got to do X, Y, and Z. I think there are some things that will be visible to the eye, as well as what we had in our discussions that will tell me, hey, the program is moving forward, whether it's in the academic arena, whether it's in the organizational aspect of things, whether it's, us playing hard for all 40 minutes. So I think there's a lot of things that I'll be able to see, and certainly things that we discussed, but it's not like we had a list of 10 things that must be done or else this versus that. So I want to keep the review, a little more subjective than objective.
This is for Chris. We've seen that you've gotten a few recruiting trips lately. Is there anything in particular you're looking for?
Number one, and it's so crazy. We talked about guard play all year, and I was very public. And I know that, as a coach, it frustrates me, and I sometimes I get upset and I overanalyze things before I get a chance to watch film and I say things about players. And that's just me. That's how I was as a player, and that's not right. But you asked my teammates who played with me, and I was the same way with them. And we had success. And I was the same way when we had a good team. When Jamal Tatum was wrong, he was wrong. And that's just the way it is. It can't be mad because we're winning. And those are things I have to change. I understand that in this day and age where you have instant gratification, where they can go right away and express their feelings and emotions right away to the world, it has to be more important that I have to have more patience with them. I think that's the key. But back to your question, it was all about guard. Then we saw in the turn, we got things turned around, and our guards were actually really good. And they did the things that I needed them to do from day one. And just understanding some of the things we changed late and having the level of commitment from them the same, without having distractions, I think allowed them to realize, man, we're pretty good, and we just do this certain thing.
Mario, you said that you and Chris came to a mutual decision with the coaching changes. How much did President Pichard and Chancellor Chang have in those talks, or did any influence at all?
Well, I just talked to Dr. Chang from a campus level because it's a campus issue. I certainly go over everything with the boss. That's Dr. Rita Chang. But she has been very good and very supportive of athletics. So, certainly we. I always brief her on everything that we want to do, and make sure everything's copacetic with her. But she's been very supportive, and much like any subordinate to a supervisor, I would think that they would run everything, ultimately, by the chancellor. But she's been very supportive of my recommendations, and and that was it, my recommendation along with coaches.
Chris, what was the high point of the season as a coach for you? What was the low point of the season?
I think the low point was losing senior night and obviously the Drake game. Those are obviously extreme. I've never experienced anything like that, where you play that way in front of your home crowd, and that was maybe the lowest point of my coaching career, from an assistant to anyone. I think the high point was seeing how hard they play at the conference tournament and actually seeing guys do what we asked them to do. And I think that's the key. And as a staff, that's what we had to evaluate. Why then? I'm talking tomorrow, why then? Was it because I was more involved? Was it because I was more forceful and everything? I can answer that, but I know I was different in those games, and those approaches. And I think that, if you look at it, that those two things were the high and the lows.
Chris, you talked about pressure before and how much pressure you put on yourself, obviously. How do you move forward going to next season and not letting the kids see that pressure maybe and not affecting to play next year?
I mean, I've been under pressure my whole life. I've been too little to play. I haven't been good enough to go Division I. I mean, I haven't been able to, you can't recruit at this level, you can't do that. I mean, those pressures I've always existed with me. I've been an underdog my whole life, so, at this point, maybe this is what I need to get back to where I've had success, working with my back against the wall, feeling like each day is the toughest day. And, I'm looking forward to moving forward, saying to myself every day, there is no such thing as a bad day, and that's what I have to get back to. It's been away from me, and thinking that way get you to overcome a lot of stuff.
What do you want the number one thing to be about your team next year that people notice right away?
That we're going to fly around. We're going to play in a frenzy. Those are the things that I'm known for. And it's not just in these circles, which are only our fans. And I think that's a big deal, what the people closest to you think. And for people to say, I don't care what people think, that's not true. It bothers me. It bothers me when I hear people think I don't care. It bothers me when I've heard that people wanted me out, because I know what I put into getting to this point is far more than they see on the surface level. And, our guys are going to play hard. And, having the understanding of how I am has to come across to them much quicker.
I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions. Coach, when you talk about rebuilding the program, clearly when 7-10% of the past they've had the older guys, the fourth and fifth year guys, and really that hasn't happened in the last 3 years. How does that change? Obviously, the last couple of years you had a lot of junior college recruits. Where do you go from here? Do you go strictly back to recruiting guys and back to the redshirting process? Because that's obviously something that can take some time.
Right. I think we're, redshirting is important. But we also do have some older guys that will be back, third, fourth, and fifth year guys, which is a blueprint for our success. And, I think that the whole, the JUCO last year was an aberration because we had to do it at that point to maintain, to get a class balance that would allow us to go and get 4 high school kids right away this fall.
Any further questions? Okay. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.